And it's not until we unlock this perpetual key to life that we are truly, truly alive.
I'll show you the better views. I know you can do it too. You gotta pay the dues. Follow your passion. Make it better attack it. This is a movie. You're breaking all your actions. Know your purpose and your work. This is my verse. Find a place to your souls while you on this earth. Never seen your work. This is my verse. Find a place to your souls while you on this earth.
It's a feeling. It's an emotion that is uncontrollable. So we know it, everyone knows it when they see it. It is undeniable. It's the birth of vision that propels you to this universe that only you can navigate. And now this universe becomes imperative to the cycle of life. It's energy. And energy can never be destroyed. It can only be transferred from one point to another.
It's like you gotta get it. Can't live with tickets if you get energy.
Fear is the only enemy. And yet, it's true. There is another factor at play here, and it's certainly necessary to be read. And that factor is courage. It's enlightenment. Recognize its power. Purpose. 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 Fear is the only enemy.
Purpose. Purpose. It's creatives in business. 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 It's creatives in business.
It's the Lamar Show. Knock, knock. Who is it? Episode 4. Creatives in Business. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's been such an amazing, I want to give all of y'all a big hug because the welcoming has been so refreshing. This is a platform that's built by creatives for creatives, and to get such pleasant and warm acceptance, embracement, and just good feedback. And the main thing is like, yo, this is dope. I need this. So that's what we're here for. And it's Tuesday night, so you know we're going up. Creatives in Business, episode 4. We have an amazing guest tonight. Entertainment. That's what creatives, that's what we do. We're here to entertain. That's what we love to do. That's what we're happy. That's our place. That's our safe haven, right? And the biggest thing is being able to share the art and the love with the people. Now, creatives, we come in many different forms. It's very, very raw. We're all multi-talented, multifaceted. But this guest tonight is definitely a definition. I think his picture like when you say multi-talented, his picture should be right there, not just in black and white, like full-fledged color. His picture should be right there. So if I can cue up the orchestra, is the orchestra ready? Can we get a big introduction for our special guest for tonight, Mr. Choice Skinner? How you doing, Choice?
I thought Superman was about to come with that that orchestra.
Superman is here, man, and the crowd is giving you a big round of applause, man. We appreciate you being here tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. And I'm trying to figure out where do I even start with you, because you really do it all. So just to give a short introduction of who you are, and then I'll let you give an introduction of who you are. For the people who don't know, Choice is a music producer, a film director, an actor, an acting coach. I mean, he really does it all. And he's responsible for some ladies, some real sexy photo shoots that y'all might want to see about, like sexy ladies. Yes, for y'all. So we're going to get into that later too, but he really does it all. Over 30 years of experience in the business in all of these different lanes, man. So I'm excited to get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Choice Skinner. Choice, how you feeling today?
Hey, I'm feeling great. I am always honored and blessed when anyone invites me on a show or a podcast or any type of interview. It's like, oh, somebody wants to hear me talk, you know? You know, when you're used to talking like constantly to the public, it's like, oh, people want to hear me talk more. And so it's always an honor, and I appreciate you both for having me on your platform. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. We're going to take it back to the beginning, man. From what I hear, you from Brooklyn. You from New York, right?
Yeah, man. You know, Brooklyn, New York. Grew up literally right down the street from Mike Tyson. People don't know that a lot, but I've been saying it more lately, which, you know, divulges my age a little bit, because you know how old Mike Tyson is and you know how old I am. So
we saw the fight. We saw the fight.
But I wouldn't have went in looking like that. I don't look my age. I mean, I work really hard on that. But you know, some people look lived in, man, and you know. So for me, man, I stayed away from a lot of things that would make you look lived in. But most importantly, yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, born and raised, and graduated Tilden High School. That's where I went to high school. And then I moved to Augusta, Georgia in '87. And I lived there for a couple of years before I moved to California. And I moved to California with an R&B artist that flew me. He flew me into LA to do some production for his company. The artist was named Rome. He was a 90s platinum artist. And so that's what made all of the transition happen, from Brooklyn to Augusta, Georgia, to Los Angeles, and then back to Augusta, Georgia. That's what's going on right now. So, yeah.
Well, you know, they say 360 is the way life moves, right? But there's definitely so much that happened in the midst of all of that. So if I had to, let's go to the childhood, you know, because a lot of times we don't realize it until we get older, but our childhood like really gives us a lot of the tools that makes us who we are, right? So how was childhood and growing up? You know, I heard stories about Mike and them just whooping up on everybody. Like, so what was the vibe like growing up in Brooklyn as a kid?
Yeah. I mean, Brooklyn was tough. I mean, Brooklyn helped me get into the martial arts. I owe a lot of, you know, this year is 37 years this month in the martial arts. And I owe a big debt in gratitude to my mom, because at 15, she was like, you got to go and start training. You got to go and start studying. And I studied under the tutelage of Darren Jackson, who was the community action Jackson, Sensei, Sifu. karate master in the area, and he gave me a lot of drive and a lot of discipline in regards to understanding self-worth and making sure I knew that I could accomplish things and I can make it happen. So once again, yeah, I thank my mom for being who she was. She was a very instrumental and pivotal point and part of my life. You know, my mom went back to school and got her bachelor's degree in college. She even got credits in Harvard. So when you look at someone like that in your life and the different people that I had Mr. Jackson, I had my mom, I worked at the bodega. There were things that kept me out of trouble. There were things that kept me off the streets, and I had a focus. And my boy William Anthony, he was somebody that played music and taught me a lot about music and funk and stuff like that. So I had a lot of influences and people who were very instrumental in helping me to be focused and to realize that I was worth something and I can accomplish things.
That's major. That's major. So then where did the music, like the first time that you knew music is what I want to do? Because from my understanding, music production was your first love, right?
Yeah. My mom always tells me the story that I was 2 years old and I can flip over the record on the right side every time. Like back, so that tells you a little bit more about the age again. Like the record players these kids nowadays would not understand, but you used to have 45 and you had vinyl and you would flip over to the hit side. And apparently I could do that every time. So there was always this love of music. My uncle Harold was very instrumental in helping me to understand a lot of like Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire, the Elements, stuff like that. A lot of my uncles, a lot of my aunts, everybody was into music in my family. But once I started realizing that I loved music, like really loved music, I joined the choir at school. I joined the music program. And then, like I said, my boy William Anthony was very, very instrumental. Shadi, we call him, nickname, and starting me on that path. And Mark Cunningham, one of my friends from school. So we started a little band, and I was like, oh, I really like this. I was good at writing, but for whatever reason, I thought that I could sing. And sometimes you need to hear that truth. And my mom told me one time, why don't you just, produce and just write? So in essence, it was like, you can't sing. Instead of saying that, it was like a thing of, all right, but I got perfect pitch. So that was one of the things that, being strong and loving music that I knew, so I could help singers. So I was always good at helping singers. But I did rap for a while, and we're not going to bring that up.
So perfect pitch, I don't have it. And I know a lot of people who do. And I feel like it has to be one of the most irritating things ever. For me, I'm relative. So, if it ain't right, I can tell you whether it's flat, whether it's sharp, but like to be so pinpoint on with perfect pitch, has that annoyed you throughout your lifetime?
Brother, let me tell you, I've seen people literally have fisticuffs in the studio. I mean, fight, physical, knockout, punching, fighting each other over the console. When it came to, because I'm very big on harmonies. Like I love harmonies. Like I think Rodney Jerkins he's a master of harmonies. Like when you listen to what he did with Brandy, it's just crazy. Like some of those harmonies. It's like, but a lot of times that's that church upbringing. So, the choir directors and the maybe if the first lady is the person leading the choir or whoever it was, they were very strict on people being on point. So
absolutely,
that discipline translated over into music. And so when I got into music and I was in the studio, in the recording studio, I was quiet until I understood things. And then when it came to like harmonies, like if you worked with me, you were gonna pass out.
You gotta get it right.
You were gonna pass out. If you were a dude, you were dropping down and doing push-ups. I've had singers literally fall out in the studio because I was like, you gotta do it again. You gotta you press the button, do it again.
Talk back.
Do it again. Yeah, oh man, do it again until it was right. But that was the era of reel to reel. I was fortunate. I came in on the era of reel to reel, went to ADAT, and then went to digital. So I had all of that experience. But for me, perfect pitch is a thing of you feel it sonically, you feel it if it's right. And that's kind of how I taught myself to get it. And then just being around, I've been around some of the best singers in the world and listening to them and their sonic, and the ones who really, really understood vocalization. And so that reinforced it for me, whether they had gospel background, opera background, they understood vocalization, they understood tone, they understood inflection, they understood a lot of those things when it came to singing. So I'm very honest. We had a phrase back in the day when I was an A&R for a while, and people would come in with their tape or their dad or whatever, and how you knew if I liked it, I was, that stink thing, that's how it's hot. If I didn't like it, I was doing this. Well, the worst thing you could say is, what do you think? Because I'm gonna tell you, if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you the truth on what I think. And a lot of
the absolute truth.
I'd be like, you gotta go back to the lab. That was the phrase back in the day. You gotta go back to the lab. This sucks. You gotta go back to the lab. And so that work ethic was, infused in me. So everything that I do now, it's all about excellence. It's all about, okay, that was great, but make it better. You see? And so we live in a society now where if somebody's off key, like how Randy be on American Idol, man, it was pitchy, man. It was pitchy. It's like, no, it was bad. Like, they need to go back to the drawing board, period. They're off key.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which people don't even say that nowadays. Everything is pitchy. It's like, no, they're off key completely.
Man, so, listen,
it was great.
We can have a whole conversation on pitchy, and I love her music, but I ain't gonna get into saying names, but we can have a whole conversation on that one for sure. So I wanted to definitely tap in, I don't think, except for maybe the people who just really, really, really know Choice in it, a lot of people might not know the music history, but I think that that's important because music definitely, the movement, the feeling, tonality, and all of those things, it translates to life so drastically. So that was music production. You were producing for Rome. And how did you end up in LA? And around what time was that? Like, we ain't got to tell your age, but what song was on the radio when you moved to LA?
That was November 1997. I never forget it because he flew me out a week before Thanksgiving. And so at that time when I was in Georgia, I had a martial arts school. It was a large martial arts school. And it was a trial thing. He told me, listen, I'm gonna fly you out, and if it works out, we'll see where it goes from there. And I've been working for many, many years to get to that point. So that was like a dream come true until he went bankrupt. And then I had to find another way to figure out what I was gonna do while I was in LA. But I mean, it was an experience. I'm hoping one day that they do an unsung for him because Rome is a phenomenal singer. I mean, I've seen all types of singers. He can go in, he would barely write anything down. And if usually in one take or two takes, he would turn out the lights. We would sit there in the console till he said he was ready. We'd press start, he'd sing that thing, lay it down, and it was all from the heart. I think he was the 90s generation of Sam Cooke, because Sam Cooke was very instrumental in his singing. They were all from the same area too. So, and Rome came out the church as well. He was a gospel singer. So, 97, November 97, 1997, and I stayed between.
So I know. So that had to be ground shaking, right? So you get all the way to LA from Atlanta, and what you're supposed to be there to do, that goes sideways. What happened? How did you take that and move forward? What was the next step?
Well, for a long time, I always knew that I was here to do something special. And, my mom would tell me, she was like, you're special. I mean, my name's Choice, like that right there in itself, I knew back in the projects as a kid that I wasn't your average kid. You know what I mean? I had been writing plays and writing stories and, you know, recording stuff on boom boxes and stuff for a long time. So when I got to LA and the music thing, you gotta understand, I got it at the end of the 90s, and the music industry was making a major transition. You know, Prince was out talking about how the digital world is going to really change things, and the web world became more popular. People were becoming more independent, and record labels weren't giving out those deals like they used to. You could go in at one point and come out with a check for $500,000. So after the Rome situation, I was just like, man, what am I going to do? Well, I was like, I've been studying martial arts all this time. Maybe I can start doing extra work. Maybe I can go and get into stunts, which I did. Art Camacho was my stunt teacher. He taught me a lot about it. He said, man, you're really good, kid. He's like, you just need to learn how to act like you suck. He's like, you're really good on the stunts, but you can't act. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I didn't have a problem with it, you know, because I came from that background of being told harshly, this isn't good. So what am I going to do? Right. Okay, well, take a college course or go to some kind of community college or something. Just get something under your belt so you can know what to do when you do your stunts when you're working opposite Tom Cruise or somebody. I said, okay, cool, no worries. So I started looking into finding an acting school. And in the meantime, in between time, I became a personal trainer. I took the NASM, I took the ACE, I took all of the different, John Platero, he had a course going, Fɪʟᴍ Fit. I took all the different personal training certifications, and I passed them all, and I just became a personal trainer. I had several clients a month, was making pretty decent money. Then the gyms became more corporate, and they took over the independent contractors' jobs. So, you know, there used to be a point where trainers were separate from the gyms. Somebody got smart enough to say, look, I'm buying out all your contracts. I'm going to pay your gym this much money so that I have a right to bring in my trainers and my program. And
Hustle.
yeah. And so a lot of us lost work. And, you know, you had to have that side hustle. You had to figure out what to do. So I started doing extra work because I figured, man, you know, I could be on set all day. I can eat for free. I can eat for free. You know, just got to go from A to B. Just tell me what to do. And it's good, decent money. And and so my first extra job was a film. Well, that's not true. My first extra job was in Atlanta on a film called Fɪʟᴍ, where I met Rene Russo and a whole bunch of other different people on there, Emilio Estevez. My first LA extra gig was on a movie called Mutiny with Michael Jai White and a couple other actors. I can't remember their names right now, but I had actually got camera time, and everybody was hitting me up like, yo, I saw you on NBC. And it felt really good. And I was like, whoa, maybe this acting thing is, you know, this is kind of cool. So I did a little bit of the stunt stuff. And then I realized, like, you know, when I met the guys who were the ones corralling all of the stunt guys and seeing how messed up their bodies was and how overweight they were. And I was like, that's not the future. Like, and then for Black men, there wasn't much work. There wasn't much work. And you know, the way they work with the stunt world is who you know. So I was like, I don't want to, you know, be out here killing myself. And then what really sealed the deal was I had learned how to fall. So I had no problem throwing myself up in the air and fall and land as long as I had a gator back, as long as I was padded up. I'm like, yeah, that's not a problem. I'm used to that. But I had to do a high fall, a three-story high fall. And I landed wrong. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. But it's funny because years later, I got a little stunt gig on Lost where I had to fall off the back of a car. And it was like $15,000 for like a couple of minutes of work. It was insane. So that's
wait. We're not going to just talk right past that. You said 3 stories and fall, and you really had to fall the 3 stories?
Yeah, I mean, you have the crash pad. They have this like crash pad that's about 6 feet tall that you land on, and it's got air in it. It's an air crash pad.
Right.
But you still got to land right. If you don't land right, you can hurt yourself. And I just didn't like the experience of like how that could just take my life. I didn't like that. And I said, well,
I'm listening to you talk about it, and I don't like it. I would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna go stop by craft services real quick, and I'm gonna see y'all on the way out the door.
Listen, that's why I don't knock people that jump out of planes and stuff. I'm like, do you have a blast? But I already had my high falling experience. I was good. I was good. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and I knew then, I'm like, stunts is not the thing for me. But, you know, if someone hits me up, I still choreograph fights and I show them basic stuff. I work with actors. I've done it on lots of movies with name actors, with a lot of people, and prepared them for films and stuff. But I just knew that that's not what I wanted. But I did like the acting aspect. And so I said, let me pursue this more. And so with that being said, my mom came down to visit one time. And when I was in Augusta, all the time I'd be watching Wheel of Fortune with her. And I told her, Mom, I said, one day I'm going to go on Wheel of Fortune. And she was like, right? So when my mom came down, I took her on a trip through Hollywood and everything. She was like, Hollywood ain't hitting on nothing. This is before they did all the work on Hollywood, you know what I'm saying? And we went to a store and there was a postcard there. And she was like, Choice, there's a postcard. And I was like, okay. She was like, for the Wheel of Fortune. I was like, all right. So I took it, filled it out, sent it in, forgot all about it. Got a letter in the mail. You've been chosen to come and audition for the Wheel of Fortune. And I was like, oh, okay. And I told my mom, I said, guess what? I got that letter for the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, you're going to make it. You're going to be on it. You're going to be on it. And so I was like, all right. And so I went in and I auditioned for it, forgot all about it. Like a month later, I got a letter in the mail. You've been chosen to be on the Wheel of Fortune. Show up with 2 suit choices. And at this time, make sure you have somebody with you, blah, 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 blah. Went to the Wheel of Fortune. It was soap opera week. So they partnered me up with one of the actors from soap opera. I actually won. I just didn't get the last puzzle. So it was little things like that. It was little things like that that told me that you need to keep going through acting. You need to keep acting. You need to keep being on TV. You need to keep doing that.
So like getting into the acting game, right? There's a lot of people who are trying to do that right now, whether they're already, you know, auditioning and they're just not getting the roles yet. How did that feel? Like, what was the mentality that you had to start really getting into the acting side?
Well, I'm going to tell you, you know, and it's funny that you have this platform because it's very important for actors to understand that it's a time thing. It's never going to be on the plan that you make. I've had people who I know personally, they came out off of a major film that they shot somewhere else, got on a network show. After that, just commercials and didn't get anything for a long time. Everybody has a different time. And my thing was like, okay, I want to get, like I said, you know, I'm 0 to 100. I'm an extremist. I'm going to do everything in excellence. So I was like, I'm going to learn this acting thing inside. I'm going to be so good, I can't be denied. And I didn't realize that Hollywood is a big machine and it has its own rules and regulations and it adjusts every 3 to 6 months and it's different. And it's nothing personal. And it takes, you know, it's the business of being told no and you telling yourself yes, no matter what. You have to keep going. And so I didn't realize any of that. I just thought, well, if I'm the better actor, I'll get the job. And once you have that revealed to you that you're not, man, it's like, oh my God, it's not about you being a better actor. And so I think where a lot of people make their mistake is they think it's about the passion. I just got to be an amazing actor. I have to be able to do the Shakespearean monologue inside and out. That's great. You know, having the talent gives you the longevity, but you have to figure out how people see you and market that. And that's where I was late to the game. Had I knew that, things would have been a little bit different because once my rise as an actor started to happen and people started knowing about me and casting directors was bringing me in, and I was booking stuff, and then the writer's strike happened. And then see, what people don't understand right now is a very glorious time for especially Black American talent. It's a glorious time. But when that writer's strike happened, the first people to lose work were Black people. They weren't casting us at all. It was like right at the end of the CW and Fox and all those shows that started out being Black shows, UPN, all that ended. So the writer's strike killed a lot of work. And it was one of the things that really made my career suffer. So I tell people all the time, and it's like, it's really a time thing. You don't know if your greatest project or your greatest role is going to be when you're 19 or when you're 70.
That's true. And that's the mentality that you have to have, I think, in all aspects of being a creative in entertainment, period. You know, you pour your heart into everything. At least I hope, because if you don't, then you're probably not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So if you're pouring your heart into everything, you know, you feel like, of course, as an artist, you feel like everything that you're going to do is fucking awesome. Like, I did that. I killed that. But you don't have any control of how the consumer is going to feel and their emotions. And then, like you mentioned, also understanding that the industry is a machine. And that's a lot of algorithms and what we call algorithms now, but it's a lot of decisions that are being made that really forces and tells people what you're going to like. So a lot of people,
it's kind of like, listen, like I
choices.
tell people this all the time. When I was at A&R, we all knew that there was no such thing as lucky in the music industry. You know, if you know, I'll mention one word, payola. That's not luck. You know, and it's still alive as it has always been. It's just a different format that they use. But there was no such thing as, oh, this is a lucky hit, or we didn't know it was going to be a hit. In the music industry, we were taught we make the hits. You know what I'm saying? You get the right spins, you get the right territories, you get this music in the right place, you'll have a hit. And we knew it was a hit. And there were times when they would use records that weren't hits, and they would make them hits. I mean, explain Laffy Taffy. Explain it, you know.
Exactly.
You know, so that was one of the things that helped me to understand that there's no such thing. To me, listen, there's no such thing as luck. There's no such thing. People say it all the time. Oh, that I was just lucky. A lot of luck. You hear actors say, well, I was just lucky. No, stop it. You already know how you got there. Everybody knows how they got where they got. Some people worked really hard. Some people had favors. Some people gave favors. Some people knew people. And that's the honesty of it. And that's where a lot of people get twisted up in their head, because they were like, I'm talented and I'm great. What am I not doing? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not about what you're not doing. It's what you should be doing. Because sometimes you haven't investigated that there's more to this thing than what you want. See, people feel this is what I want. I want to be able to play these roles. I want to be able to be seen this way. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to me, I. And this industry, as an actor, it is a self-indulgent thing to be concentrating on yourself. It is a selfish thing, but the industry doesn't care about you until you're someone that they need. You have to show them you need me.
I think that's a very big point that you just made right there. And I'm going to use that to pivot to what was the moment in your career that you realized, oh shit, I'm more than just who they need me to be. I can also be who I need to be for Choice Skinner. And I can tell, I've never asked you this, but there's a certain point where you took your own career by the reins. What happened to help you make that decision? And then how did you approach it?
Yeah. Again, going back to that time, it was unheard of for actors to produce and to write and to direct. That was unheard of. If you was an actor, that's what you did. If you was a writer, that's what you did. If you were a producer, that's what you did. If you were a director, that's what you did. There was no such thing as doing whatever you felt you needed to do in order to move yourself to another level. So right now, everyone's on the cutting edge. They don't realize how hard it was. And it was a time when it was like I looked around as an actor, being able to do the things that I was able to do. I mean, you know, I would do performances in my acting class where I studied, and people would come up to me crying, holding out their hands and asking, "Who are you?" And I understood the power that we have as artists to affect and touch people. So the problem for me was, as I was studying, I realized there were very few Black leading men actors. There's Denzel, there's Cuba Gooding, there was Wesley Snipes, Morgan Freeman was just coming up on the come up. And the material, when I would watch in class, I was like, this material's like, how come we don't have this type of story? How come we don't have that story? So I started writing things to bring into class because they didn't exist. If you wanted to play, you know, you would see somebody do Silence of the Lambs, you'd be like, man, that's a pretty good role. How come we don't have a Black character like that? You see? Or if I wanted to just play a straight-laced character, you know, there was only the thugs, the Tyrones, you know what I'm saying, the Maliks. And I was like, how come we don't have a role where there's this enigmatic type of character and he's doing this? So I started writing those roles, and I realized that they didn't exist because Hollywood didn't want them to exist. And I realized for myself, I said, okay, well, it's either I'm going to be playing thug number one, bank robber number two. I'm going to be playing these roles, which I never had a problem playing them because I grew up seeing those types of guys, you know? So it was like, I can play these guys. I mean, if you see one of my old headshots, man, I had a do-rag with a ring and mean mugging.
The hoop joint?
No, I had a fake stud. I had a fake magnetic clamp for auditions because I didn't look like a thug. If they told me to take the do-rag off, I'm not getting this part, you know?
So what's your most memorable audition story?
Oh yeah, this one was a good one. In fact, it's funny because I had my mom, I had to ask her some advice on something, her and my manager. I had an audition one time where I had to go in. It was a point where I was constantly going out for rappers and thugs, right? And I had an audition one time for a cable TV show where they were like, we need a rapper, right? And he's got to be menacing, and, you know, he's got to be a thug, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, that's no problem. I already did that before. I've done it many times. I can go in and do it. You know, and I went into the lobby and all these dudes sitting there, you know, looking hard, had tattoos and everything. And I didn't have my do-rag on at that time. I said, let me go to the bathroom, put the do-rag on and then stud in, right? So the guy comes out, some, you know, white guy comes out and he's like, yeah, Troy Skinner. I'm like, yo. He's like, yo, you ready? I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? So I come in, right? And he goes to shake my hand. So I don't shake hands. So I was already in character. He was like, oh my God, okay, I'm sorry. Where? And he said, stand right here. And I went there and I stood there. And he was like, can you look at the camera and just rap? And I was like, yeah, what you want me to rap? He was like, whatever you want. Like, okay. And so I started rapping some Missy Elliott. He had no idea, but I did it with a twist of like, because they said they were looking for a DMX type of rapper. So I did Freaky Tonight, the last stanza of Missy Elliott, you know, we can stick in the back of my dude was like, you know, he was stuck, and I was just like, yo, you want me to do it again? He was like, no, that was great. And I said, hey man, I'm joking, man. It ain't me. This is who I really am, man. And I booked that.
Yeah, you booked it because he peed on himself. That's why you booked it.
He was terrified. So sometimes when you go in, I always tell actors, sometimes just go in as the role. Go in as the role. Sometimes, you know, make that turn and then come back. So then they see, man, this person's a really good actor. You know, they scared me. He's like, oh my God. At the end, he said, you scared me. I was like, yeah, that was the objective. You know, that was my point.
You asked for this. You asked for this.
You know what I'm saying? So we ended up, like, I had to go to the recording studio and everything. And I never forget, it was this really small white dude that was controlling the console. And I learned to rap. But the problem was there was a line in the rap that said, after I booked it, they were like, okay, so you got to go to the studio, you got to record this. I'm like, and so they were like, have you ever recorded before? I was like, yeah, this is nothing. But when I got the lines, it said baling bales of hay.
Oh,
and I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? Baling bales of hay. Like, I'm not gonna say this. You know what I mean? So that was one of those moments where, you know, I hit up my manager and I hit up my mom, and my mom's like, well, babe, you know, and my manager was like, if you don't want to do it, she said, let me call in, Shar. She said, let me call in to find out what's going on with this. And come to find out that the writer of the rap was Canadian. And the producer was like, see, he looked at the writer and said, I told you, like, that's just, you know, the culture. They're not going to say that. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. So when people always say they understand slavery in America, they don't. Every culture is different. They have no idea of the connection of that. But I was strong on, firm on that. I'm like, I'm not saying that. And they were like, okay, it's not a problem. You don't have to say it. You know, and so that's always when people tell me, oh, I didn't have a choice. It's like, no, there's always a choice. I tell you this, if they wanted me to say it and they were like, it's say it or not, you know, if you don't say it, you lose a job. I'd have lost the job that day because I wouldn't have said it.
I think that comes to another point. Like, how do you stay professional and keep your integrity as an actor, as an entertainer? Because the entertainment industry is full of stories identical to that, right? And we know it when we see it as a consumer, as a spectator. We know it when we see it. And sometimes it comes down to whoever that talent is not having the integrity to really make a decision for themselves. How do you walk that fine line as a professional, as a director, as an actor, as an acting coach? How do you do that? And how do you teach your students to instill that into their careers?
Yeah, I will have to credit Mekhi Phifer for that. The time and the years that I spent with him, with all the stuff that came his way, that he was like, man, I'm not doing this. You know, it'd be those funny conversations. We lifting weights. I was like, they want me to do this. I'm not doing this, you know? And it was like, I respected that. And he would always tell me, you know, you just got to understand diplomacy. You got to be diplomatic about certain things. And he was very, he would pinpoint on certain things, and it would turn out right every time. There wasn't a time when he took a role or would do a role or had a doubt. He knew exactly what he wanted to play. Once he got to that level of them offering him stuff, he understood that how you were seen is based on your last job and the job before that. So if all you do is a bunch of garbage, then that's what they're going to see you as. Doing a garbage actor. They're not going to bring you in to play anything. I mean, you think about it. When you look at his career, he started out, him and Omar Epps, they played the thugs, they played the gang members, they did all of that. You know what I mean? They, you know, the basketball players and all that stuff. But both of them ended up playing doctors on 2 networks. Mekhi on ER and, you know, Omar on Fox, on House. And so it's a thing of, you know, in the beginning, you got to play the hooker. You got to play the drug addict. You got to play you ain't got to play it, and you can write it and do it yourself. If you feel you have the work ethic and the drive and energy to make a feature film or to make something that becomes a Sundance darling or becomes an amazing short, and you get to play this enigmatic, amazing role because you're the type of person, well, I'm not doing sex scenes, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, then do it. Do it. And if it doesn't work the first time, do it again. Because it may not work a couple of times. But remember, what makes people survive in this game is the time spent, not quitting. So Mekhi taught me, he said, you know, you have to know who you are as an artist so that people will see you in the way you need to be seen. And the problem is that a lot of people don't know how they should be seen. And that goes back to their childhood. That goes back to, you know, how they were raised. You know, the good-looking people don't think they're good-looking. The people who are a little bit unsightly think they're better than what they, you know, everybody has a different perspective. And I believe that if an actor has an idea of the roles they can play, then they know the actor they are. You know, some people, you know, everyone feels like they can, I'm a character actor. They feel like that's acting. If I'm putting on makeup, if I'm smoking a cigarette, if I'm with an accent and I'm speaking as if I'm from Yorkshire, then I'm acting. And it's like, that's not acting. Acting is two people talking. That's the simplistic aspect of acting. Two people talking. And if you can keep people vested and interested in you talking to another person about nothing, but hey, so hey, Bo, how'd it go today? What you know, did you talk to your ex? I mean, did she, you know, say anything stupid? What you gonna do about that? And if you can say that and keep people interested in what you're saying, then you know who you are and what you're going to be able to play. Because a lot of times it's not going to be you holding the gun. It's going to be you coming in and saying, is there anything else I can do for you? Okay, I'll have that ribeye steak coming right up. you know, you're going out for one line, two lines, you know what I mean? And so I understood very early on that there were certain roles that I would not do. Because I understood the audience, I understand my diaspora, I understand my culture, and there are just certain things that I refuse to do, and there's just certain things that I don't need to do.
I definitely get that, and that's a lot of knowledge you just dropped right there. If people really take time to reverse engineer that, it's everything that you do, and if you're focused, you have to understand how you want to be seen, just like you said, but you also have to know who you are. And once you know who you are and you're comfortable in self, I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, I've known you for a couple years now, but that's one of the reasons why it was a instant click for me, because you're so comfortable in yourself and you know who you are as an individual, which allows you to blow people's mind artistically, because you're so comfortably uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference when you get to a point to where you're uncomfortable is comfortable as well. And there's no time that you're ever allowed to be caught slipping in this game. So, you know, as an actor, and then stepping into, you mentioned Mekhi Phifer as an acting coach, like Mekhi, Dylan Flashner, Amari Hardwick, like, how is it wearing the acting coach hat? And what are the things that you try to make sure that you do for the actors who you are coaching?
Well, I started coaching out of the necessity. I can credit Daphne with Jerry Clark, and I tell that story to everybody all the time. She was the one, we need you, they need you, actors need you, you know, and it's like, okay. You know, but I had already been coaching, you know, privately for years prior to me becoming a public acting coach. With Mekhi, it wasn't so much that I coached him. You know, it was like a lot of life lessons. It was like reading lines back and forth for ER. So I can't really claim him as being his coach. I taught him a lot of martial arts, and I prepared him, you know, physically for films. So it was more like a mentorship in a sense. You know what I mean? Someone to bounce ideas off of. When I would get with an actor, it was to help them to simplify what the world has made complicated. Acting and all forms of artistic expression are seen as very complicated things, which is why there are very few that do it and achieve a higher level, because they make it all about themselves. It's all about me. And so there's a level of pressure that comes with that. You know, you see it in sports, you know, because sports is a form of entertainment. There's this level of unsurmountable pressure that people put on themselves because they feel like, well, if I don't come through with it, it's not going to get done. And it's like, no, you're easily replaced. The next actor is waiting down the hall. You know what I'm saying? We want you because you fit the role, and we hope that you're going to show up. There's something special about you. And that's where actors miss out. They feel like, I've taken headshots. I got my reel up. You know, I got manager. I got an agent. I'm auditioning, but nothing's happening. And it's like, well, yeah, you got to give God time to work on you. There's something you got to work on in yourself, because more than likely, when you get what you feel you want, you are going to screw it up because we're human beings. We don't know what we want from moment to moment. And, you know, I always give the ice cream analogy. Like we all say, oh, let's go to the ice cream store, and everybody knows what flavor ice cream they want. What's your favorite ice cream? And then you see somebody come by with a different type of ice cream. Like, they look good. What is that? Oh, that's pistachio with vanilla and pecan. Oh, let me get that instead. So how is it that you went from your favorite ice cream to switching it to this new ice cream that you just saw in the flash of a moment? That's who we are as human beings. That's why you see people jump from one person to another person, one person to another. They just constantly jumping all around because we don't really know what we want. We don't really know what we need. We have an idea of what we want, but if that was the case, then everybody that ever quit acting, that got married or had kids or moved away and never acted a day again in their life would still be acting. But they tell themselves, this is what I want. This is my dream. This is my passion. So I always tell actors, you got to know who you are and why you're doing this. Like, I've been wanting to do this since I was a kid. I've been wanting to be in entertainment, period, since I was a child. There was nothing else. Yeah, I had some sidetracks. Okay, I want to do computer technology. Oh, okay, I might be an attorney. But that was just being told by the world you have to have something stable, because arts is very unstable. And it is financially. It's very unstable if you're not business minded, which is the essence of what your show is about. People don't get into the business. They get all into, this is what I want to do. This is what I don't want to do that. No. When I said I didn't do anything that I didn't want to do, it was because it helps my career or it can hurt it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, because that's going to hurt my career. You know, I'll give you a perfect example. People, they look at Alanis Morissette. You know, she's had one of the biggest albums of all time. But if you go back and see who she was before Jagged Little Pill, she was doing Janet Jackson moves. She was wearing Paula Abdul outfits in Canada. And how do you go from doing all these Rhythm Nation moves to shaking hand, talking about, you know, Jagged Little Pill? She had to find herself. And when she found herself, look at that. I mean, she couldn't even top that album. It's kind of like Lauryn Hill. They were like, forget it. You know, what can you do after you do something that great? Like, what can you do? You know, my thing had
it was so good. You don't even have to show up on time no more. You just come when you want.
I'll be there when I'm there. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So what I always wanted to give actors was freedom. You see? Freedom from the conventions of and I am working on a book that will drop this summer, and it will be about that. It's called The No Pressure Policy, and it will be about, you know, understanding what acting really is about. It's a very simplistic thing, but they complicate it because it's like, if I have the ingredients, you know, like everybody always wanted to figure out what the recipe of KFC was. And people were like, child, that's some paprika in there. I take paprika. That's pepper. I take the pepper. That's buttermilk. You know, they could figure it out. And so a lot of coaches, if that's what you want to call it, they love confusing actors. And actors love to be confused, unfortunately. They love it because then they feel like, I'm working. You see? I'm figuring it out, and there's nothing to figure out. If you've ever told a lie, you can act.
Acting is lying, right?
That's what acting is.
Acting is lying, yeah.
I mean, you know, if you're doing green screen work and there is supposed to be a monster and you got to scream like, you know, Thanos. It's not there. It's not real. The set's not, it's not your set. The outfit ain't your set. Your outfit, the car, that Maserati's not yours. You gonna leave and it ain't going with you unless they give it to you. But it's acting. You're telling a lie in a high value sense. Yeah. And so the pressure gets off when you start to realize, you know what? I'm going back to being a kid. Where kids would get up there and they had that He-Man was theirs, that Matchbox car. Yeah. That was their car. The girls were princesses and they had the little wand and, Daddy, I'm gonna make you a dog, you know, and it was all tea and don't sit there, that's my imaginary friend. You know, they're so free. They're not judged. They don't judge themselves. So I help actors have clarity, especially the higher level actors, the ones that are working. When they come to me, they have that clarity. It's like, all right, you understand what you're doing. You worked on $20 million films, $100 million films. I can't teach you how to act. I can just give you clarity about the role. And that's typically what I do. So the name actors that I can't name who want everybody to believe that they hatched out of an egg and they're amazing and You know, they never had a day where they couldn't learn lines. Those actors, they just basically, they get that clarity. Whereas the beginning actor that comes to me, they get freedom.
Freedom and clarity. Those are two main attributes, not only just for art and creatives, but that's life. That's life, which goes back to being comfortable and getting to know yourself, right? It goes back to all of that. That's heavy, man. You dropping some gems right there. Let's shift into you as a director. So Black Lightning. Got to talk about Black Lightning. I mean, won awards at the Fan Film Awards, one winner of an award and 2 nominees, the Hollywood Film Festival, the Las Vegas International Film Festival, the Los Angeles Independent Film Festival Award. I mean, Black Lightning is crazy. And I know there's some confusion out there, but I'll help you clear it up. Black Lightning, your film came before the TV show. So for everybody who's out there saying my man Choice was biting, you see me about it. Where did the idea come from? How did you develop such a just super dope action-packed concept?
Yeah, I mean, you asked great questions, man. We had just my second feature. My first feature was a comedy, an independent comedy called Wingman Inc., and it went. Lionsgate picked it up for distribution, and so when you're a filmmaker or a content creator, you're always looking at, okay, what's going to be the next thing? You know what I mean? Like, all right, this went here, but it didn't go there. Like everyone was telling us, okay, this is a great film. It's going to do good. You get with Lionsgate, people are going to be knocking on your door, and it didn't happen. So I had another film that I wrote many years ago called Keep the Faith. And it's a Christian film, and I'm still working on it. I mean, 7 years later, it's just like, I'm still working on it. But it will be finished this summer, hopefully. And I said, we finished that. And then I had 2 of the most amazing guys on my team, James and Black, and Chase Baker. And they helped me with VFX. They helped me with every aspect you can think of with the film. And so we had a big screening, and it was a red carpet event and everything, but the film is still like 30% that needed to be done on the VFX. So we were hoping we were going to be able to get some funding for it, but you know, a lot of the people that had promised us some funding, they fell through. So we was like, man, all right, well, we got to do something for people to put us on their radar so they can start giving us funding to be able to do greater things. And mind you, all of the films that I've ever done contain all of the actors that I ever worked with in my studio. And so James was like, well, figure it out and let me know and we'll work on it. I was like, all right, cool. Because, you know, he had already started getting experience with VFX on Keep the Faith. That's why I had to mention that. So then we were like, I said, I want to play a superhero. You know, I said, I want to play a superhero. Because, you know, it was this thing of fan films. People were like, yo, you do a fan film, you know, Hollywood comes knocking. What I didn't know is that they don't come knocking for black guys. They come knocking for white dudes that do a 2 or 3 minute short. And yeah, they give them next, you know, they're working on, you know, a $30 million film. And but I wanted to do a superhero. And I said, you know, Marvel's not going to cast me, or DC's not going to cast me anytime soon. So I, you know, like I always do, I got to do this myself. So I came to James and I said, James, I want you to write a short for this character, Black Lightning, because I realized that, you know, nobody was looking at the black characters at that time. This was before Black Panther even got greenlit. Nobody was looking at any of these characters. And I was like, I'm gonna do Black Lightning. You know, so I went to the crates and I'm gonna do Black Lightning, right? And so James was like, cool. And I said, I want you to play Static. He was like, what? You know, and so we started writing the script. We finished the script, and we started on it in November. We finished it by January. We were shooting in January. The first shot up was Vanessa Giordano. She played the newscast. That was the first thing we shot. And I went to all the other actors and I said, listen, James and I are working on this. If you want to be a part of it. And then Chase said, I'll come on. He came on a second camera and we gave him a role. And everybody came in and I said, listen, you ain't got to do nothing. You can help us with the production, but just get your wardrobe. Like focus on getting your wardrobe. So that help us with finances. Because this was all out of pocket, man. All of it was out of pocket. We didn't do Indiegogo or none of that. It was just all out of pocket. And so everybody stepped up. They got their wardrobe. And, some people did better than others. Some people went all out. Some people we had to help. But we got all the locations. I shot it. I said, all right, because I had so many bad experiences with DPs. I said, all right, I had a camera. So I said, I upgraded that camera from the camera that I won from Octavia Spencer's Facebook challenge. So I had got a 5D Mark III, and then I had started researching how to make the footage look amazing. So I said, oh, okay, you can use this. Okay, so then I said, I'm on direct it, I'm starring it, I co-wrote it, I'm producing it, and I'm DPing second camera. So I was in my outfit some days with the camera shooting, and that's how that came to be. And I'm, I got to give a huge shout out to James and Black and Joan Moten for being ride or die. I mean, ride or die, and Chase Baker, ride or die on that project, man. They gave everything and then some. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're going to help you out. We're going to give him a round of applause, man, because the film was absolutely amazing from beginning to end. I mean, I told you before, when my girl had the sword and she stuck the sword through his chest, and you could see it coming out the other side of his body, and bagged him up against the wall, and you see the blood trickling across the floor. I was like, oh shit!
Yeah, that was Sachiko. She killed Jonesy. She killed mi hermano. She killed him. But I'm telling you, man, everybody was 100% all the way through to make sure production. Now, after production is always a different story. You're on your own when it comes to post, man. So it was James and I and Chase. James we would do VFX. James would be like, he'd look at it and go and redo it and make it better. And we didn't take it personal. We were just like, and then we had Andres Dehan. He came in with the score and just made it what it was, man. It's almost at 500,000 views, 500,000 views. And that's spectacular for a 36-minute short. And we won a lot of festivals. We had an amazing run. We even went to Cannes with it. We went to Cannes with it. We had a showing in Cannes. People loved it. And that's something that I'm constantly chasing at. I'm chasing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yo. And so James and I, whenever we work on stuff, we got to do better than Black Lightning. We gotta raise the bar. You know what I'm saying? And we are. He's got something he's working on. I have a new film that I'm working on. So it's taking things to another level. And then once again, we're both DPing. You can't wait. You got to get up. You got to make it happen.
Man, you can't wait. For all my creatives who are listening, that is a gem. I think that's a law of career. It's a law of life. You can't wait. And that's what this platform is all about. It's like taking your career into your own hands. And the age is changing, right? So we have so much more ability to be in control of what we do and to create our own content. That doesn't mean that we can't work for other projects throughout the industry. But when you can create your own content, you can become a Issa Rae. Right? She basically dug her own path, right? So seeing how much experience that you have in the game, and you've seen, these changes kind of happening as they go along, what's some of the advice that you would give to the hungry creative who is really success driven and who's not afraid to put the work in? what would you tell that creative in terms of how to move throughout the industry in the age that we're living in now?
Be about your money. Be about your money. Make, you know, back to John Q, make all the money you can, son. Make all the money you can. You know, more now than ever. I mean, because, you know, it's a dried up market when it comes to investments and stuff. You know, everybody's on Robinhood investing. They're not really investing in film, but it is a great avenue for filmmakers now because everything is streaming. So where you would have to have the amount of money to release a film in theaters and do the distribution and do the E&O, the marketing, the post work, the all of that stuff that would normally be for theaters, posters, and, you know, distribution and stuff like that. You don't have to really concentrate too much on it as much as it used to be until COVID is over. And then everybody's gonna go back to that old model if they can. But when you make a project, don't just make it because I got to do something, just throw it out. Figure out how you can monetize that project. Figure out how you can make money off of it. And if you can't make money off of it, don't do it. You know, and it's not, I'm not saying if you want to do a monologue one day and just throw up a monologue and get likes and views and get, you know, yourself in front of people, or you want to do photos and stuff. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you say to yourself, I'm gonna make a movie. Okay, well,
Right.
What's the difference between making a short and making a feature? Time and resources. You know, and so if you say, okay, well, the movie that I'm gonna work on is in one location. We'll add a couple of more days in that one location to make a feature. Just make it amazing. You understand what I'm saying? Make it amazing.
Absolutely.
And be very critical. You know, Daphne used to say all the time, you're so critical. Now she understands why I was critical. You know, when I would be in class telling actors, yo, like the industry is changing. All you good looking people, y'all better recognize what's going on out there in the game. HBO, Showtime, stars. You know, stay in the gym, get your body right, figure out what type of roles you want to play, because you may not want to go into that realm. You may just want to do Christian films, and that's fine. You know, you're going to limit yourself as an actor on certain things that you can do or you can't do. Oh, my grandmama, she'll have a fit. Well, she shouldn't be watching the show. You know, but I had that right.
Stop playing. Grandma watching P-Valley. Quit playing.
Watching P-Valley. You see what I'm saying? but listen, Bo, that's the importance of knowing your demographic, knowing your diaspora, understanding the culture, because I've met too many, especially Black American actors, who feel like they're just like everybody else, and they want to play, you know, these roles that Anthony Hopkins is playing. I'm like, you're not Anthony Hopkins. Like, you have to understand how the world sees you, you know, and build your career that way. You know, look what Viola Davis and all these other actors are going to be probably seen for, and that's for an old play, you know, by August Wilson. Chadwick Boseman more than likely is going to get nominated. It's not him playing opposite, you know, Angelina Jolie. It's him playing a character, you see what I'm saying, based on an old play for Black Americans, you see? And so when you understand that, you're like, okay, well, I see how this industry works. Now, if he was British, then it's a different story. You see?
Way different. That's
a different story.
You opened up a whole nother window right there, because we're seeing a lot of that. What is that?
Listen, I've lived the Black American experience, you know, and as much as I've traveled outside the country and I've been in other places, I understand culture. And we live in a country, Black Americans were released from slavery in a capitalistic society with no capital. So if you don't have capital, you have no worth, right? And if you have no worth, you can only bring what you have. And so as Black people, you know, we're great at cooking, we're great at sports, we're great at arts and entertainment. A lot of us are really good at business now, but you don't really hear about them. The people you see in the news are entertainers. So what is your worth? You see, and that's why Black history is important. It's funny that we're having this you know, conversation on Black History Month, But that's why it's important to know your history, because then you understand your worth. And it's important to travel outside this country so that you can understand who you are when you. I love America. I don't want to go nowhere else. Like, this is my country. My ancestors bled and built this country. So as a Black American, I understand my worth. And I think that's where the issue lies. When you say, oh, British actors are better. They're better than anybody. And people permeate the myth and they believe the myth because you're giving reality TV stars and R&B artists and rappers who never really stressed on studying the craft of acting, as in Europe, where that's their main thing. They go to plays, they start very early on, they study very early on. You know, here, what is most of our objectives when you're young? Play baseball, play basketball, right? Those are the things that they push. Football, so that you can get those big money deals. Very few art programs are left in high schools or in junior high school or elementary schools. Facts. So there's not a drive for the craft there. The problem becomes when you understand your diaspora and the Black community, because we're people who are movers and shakers in regards to starting trends. So you say, okay, if I'm a manager and I'm a European manager and I want to bring my talent over, I'm going to work out a deal where I can get my talent in a movie, right? What movie am I going to get them in? Is it going to be right into a white American movie? No.
Right.
I'm going to get the audience behind them that needs to be behind them, the Black American audience. And the problem is that money doesn't stay in the community; it goes straight out. Because all of those European Black English actors, they all start production companies overseas, and that's what people don't understand is the issue. It's not an issue that I don't feel like they shouldn't be working. It's an issue when they're playing all of our leading people. They're playing Martin Luther King. They're playing Harriet Tubman. They're playing, they're playing all our leading people. And those roles, it's very important for us to be able to have a foundational connection with. So the issue is they can control them better because European actors are willing to do whatever. We ain't gonna
it's opportunity. A season opportunity. Yeah,
sure. They want to do it. Sure.
Which is why I think it's important that we get more choice skinners. We get more directors. We get more people who understand the history aspect of it and understand the big picture. And we have so many people who have the talent. And I've seen you speak life and speak encouragement and love to so many people. So I definitely, I want to just give you a big up for everything that you have done, the stuff that you can't speak about, plus the stuff that you can, as a coach, as a friend, as a mentor. I've honestly seen with my own eyes how you've helped cultivate and just build people. Even past the artistry, past being a creative, you just love people, and we see it in your work. We see it in your character. We see it in all of that, man. So a round of applause. Thank you again, Choice, for coming on tonight, man. It's definitely a pleasure talking to you. We're going to have to do a part 2 because I got some other things I have so much I want to tap into with you. While if anybody who's watching, if you have any questions that you would like to ask Choice, go ahead and type them and we'll go ahead and get to that. I just want everybody to know that if there's anyone who you think would be great that you would want to see on Creatives in Business, you can go to bolamarDrums.com/CIB, which stands for Creatives in Business. And you can submit their names and their information if you have it. If you have any questions for any of our future guests, next week we're having Andre Boyd, amazing drummer and business owner. He's like a celebrity. He's the lightning of drums in China. So if you have any questions for Dre next week, you can submit those questions right there again. Once again, that's bolamarDrums.com/CIB. Choice, leave us with something that you go by on a regular basis that you use to guide your life and keep you inspired when things get tough in this game.
Yeah, I have a phrase that says greatness recognizes greatness. And that's mostly a thing of understanding that to be great, you got to recognize greatness. It can't be one-sided. I am great, so I am great. Nobody else is great. No, that's where you start to understand a lot of times what I tell people, insight. You see, because you can make something and because you enjoyed it and you wanted to make it, you made it. And that's great. But how is that affecting everybody else? Yeah. How is it changing anything? And so every day that I wake up, I look at saying, okay, first off, I believe in you got to keep going. Like, if this pandemic ain't taught that to anybody, like, I mean, in all my life, I've never seen so many people pass away and so much damage happen to the world in general. So for me, it's a thing of like, all right, just you got to keep going. It's like what Paul says in the scriptures. I've won the race. I've run the race. I've kept the faith, and so that's something that I live by. You know what I mean? I'm a very devout Christian. I don't care what anybody believes in, and that's their life or whatever. I believe in what I believe in the higher power of Jesus Christ running my life. And so for me, I'm running towards that. To live as Christ, to die as gain. So it's like, if I wake up every day, what do I want to do with that day? What do I want to do with it? You know what I'm saying? If I choose to sleep that whole day, then that's what I'm going to do. But it's learning to eliminate that pressure so there's no nervousness, because that's what pressure creates. It creates a sense of nervousness to where you can't go this way, you can't go that way, so you're stuck. And so that's what, depression comes from unmet expectation. That's where depression comes from. I'm not talking about clinical depression, because people will be like, yeah. No. I'm talking about, I hate my life. Why do you hate your life? Well, because I'm not doing the things that I want to do. Well, why are you not doing the things you want to do? Yeah. Like, what's the issue? What's the problem? And so now we're living in the age of social media where everybody's flossing and everybody's a celeb. You have to find your space. And to me, the key is to keep going. It's to keep going and find your passions, but turn those passions into finance. Turn it into, man, that's the lesson. Like, I'll be telling people, like, yo, make your dough.
Make it. Absolutely. I think that's perfect right there. The key is to keep going. So for all my creatives, I'm a firm believer that we're all in this ship together. That's why I didn't niche it. I wanted to speak to all creatives, whether it's music, whether it's film, whether it's theater, whether it's dance. We all speak the same language, and we're in this together. And we know how this industry, it encourages us, it chews us up, it spits us out, and we be like, yeah, I ain't going, I'm still here. Like, all of that happens in our careers, sometimes in the same day. So it's important for us to have these conversations and to pull from, the knowledge of those who are so experienced as yourself, and to just talk to each other out loud in just honest conversation. So I definitely appreciate you. You heard it from Troy Skinner right there himself. Just keep going. We know it's rough sometimes, but keep going. Don't be afraid to grab the reins and take control of your own careers. And don't be afraid to put your creativeness alongside your business. And like Choice said, get your dough. All right. Choice, don't leave. I'm going to see you in the green room. Don't disappear. Thank you, everybody who have just kept giving love and tuning in to the platform, Creators in Business. This was episode number 4. It's a pleasure to have you on this ride. This ride ain't stopping, y'all. This ride is not stopping. It's going amazing places. And that's because of you. It's because of you staying engaged, letting me know that you're enjoying the content. And we're going to keep this thing rocking, y'all. So again, BoLamarDrums.com/CIB. If there's anyone who you feel that you would love to see on this platform, I want to hear all about them. And we might just make that happen. If you have any questions for our next week's guest, once again, Andre Boyd, he was voted the best drummer a couple years ago, best drummer in the world. I'm talking about drummer in the world. And we're going to be sitting down with Dre next week and having the same creatives and business conversations, just from a different angle. So I look forward to seeing you all. Stay tuned. Creatives in Business, episode 4. You sat down with Choice Skinner today. I am your host, Bo Lamar. Thank you all for coming out, and we will see you again next week. Creatives in Business. Peace, y'all.